Hello everyone, it's Garry here for weatherweb.net. This is today's look ahead video. It's Wednesday the 30th of September. Thanks for watching. Now, we tweeted this picture out this afternoon, but worth showing again if you didn't see that is a satellite picture from late afternoon across Britain and Ireland then, and showing the widely clear skies and extensive sunshine, so a really fine end to the last day of September. Still some uncertainties how things develop as we go forwards over next week. A gradual, gentle breakdown, as Simon was saying yesterday, looking likely as we head into the start of the new week, as our area of high pressure finally disappears away. This is the day 7 to day 10 day means then, so going a bit further forward, so running through towards the 10th of October, those few days up to that point. Bit of difference between the two models, the European on the left and the GFS on the right. Got a little bit more troughed out and somewhat more unsettled on the European model, with low pressure and lower than normal heights more widely in the Atlantic. GFS a little bit more keen on keeping higher heights away towards the south and the east of Britain, so keeping a generally more settled theme with a trough more cut off away in the mid-Atlantic. So a bit of wriggle room to play with there, and we'll keep an eye on the details of that one. Still a good deal of uncertainty just how we develop by then. Now, if you've been watching the look ahead video in recent days, you know that Simon's been tempting with some of my additional thoughts on the upcoming winter season, just to throw it into the mix with the forecast we've been putting out here at weatherweb.net. Various methodologies put together with this. It's basically an analogue forecast using past years where we've been in a similar situation to where we are now, and projecting that forwards into what may happen going forwards. So this chart is the 500 millibar anomaly, and we're doing it month by month just to see what we've got in the upcoming months. And really, I wouldn't call it a forecast as such, it's just some research we're doing here. Just thought it'd be interesting to have a look through and see what that suggests. So don't take this as an absolute forecast, just out of interest to weigh in alongside the others that we've been looking at. Here's the month of October then, and this 500 millibar anomaly is centred over the North Pole, British Isles fairly small but under here, and showing as higher than normal heights as being the theme of the month of October from this method. And may well be an interesting one to develop with the high pressure currently in place at the moment. Whether that then hangs on as we go further through the month as a whole remains to be seen, but that's what we're suggesting for October using that. Now, that chart is the 850 millibar air temperature anomaly, again from these same analogue sequence, and this for the month of October as well, showing generally warmer than average temperatures across the country as a whole through the month. Looking into November then, this is the 500 millibar anomalies again, so the upper air patterns and the knock-on effect into the surface. We've got higher than normal heights suggested across the British Isles, mainly towards the north and northwest, lower than normal heights towards the south. And you know that Simon's been talking about a potential fairly stormy autumn. Now, this would suggest storms tracking into the region more around Spain and Portugal, perhaps into central and southern Europe, whilst northern parts of Europe faring not too bad. Whether that quite matches what Simon's been saying, it remains to be seen again. So just an interesting one to see how that one develops. That's for the month of November as a whole, so averaging things out. Now, the suggested air temperatures at 850 millibars for November, fairly neutral across the British Isles, around normal values will be suggested, cooler across southern Europe, somewhat warmer out towards our west, so that's the November temperatures. Now, the 500 millibar anomaly pressures then for the month of December, suggesting again higher than normal pressures would be in evidence across northern and western parts of Europe, centred out to the west of the British Isles, so suggestive of more of a blocking pattern at that time. I think that contradicts somewhat what Simon's been saying as being still fairly wet and stormy through that period. Notice though the lower than normal heights that would be hinted at across towards the north of northeast of Canada, so may well be quite a jet stream in that sort of region through north of the British Isles, and it wouldn't take much for a few of those potential storms then to get towards northern Britain. And again, that's the month of a whole being average, so it may not pick down the shorter term details in there. December temperatures then would be showing as higher than normal across the country as a whole, so a fairly warm anticyclonic pattern, relatively warm of course would be the suggestion from that one. Here's January then, back to the 500 millibar anomaly, so this is the pressure anomaly. Higher than normal heights are out towards the northwest of Britain on that particular chart then, lower than normal heights across mainland Europe down towards Spain and Portugal, and on that then would be dragging in more of a northeasterly pattern across the British Isles, with that high centred away towards our northwest. And consequently that would give cooler temperatures, cooler than normal temperatures then showing up on the method. Maybe a bit overdone really on this chart, but that's an interesting one just to watch for. Generally colder across Europe as a whole, with the British Isles being dragged into that at times as well. Going a long way forwards, but interesting just to see how the whole thing goes through. Again, this is from the analogue method of years, starting off similar to where we are now. Here's February, and we've got generally lower than normal heights then across to the west of the British Isles, so that's a suggestion of going into a more stormy, wet, unsettled pattern by then. And looking at February's temperature anomalies, we've got lower temperatures generally towards the west of Britain, nearer to average values showing up really across the British Isles, and somewhat warmer than average out across Europe by this stage, but cooler away over Scandinavia, so leaving British Isles somewhat in between. As always, though, to be treated with a lot of caution. You certainly wouldn't be making a specific forecast out of it. You wouldn't be making any headlines out of it. Just really some speculation and long-range forecasting. Still very much an area of doubt as to what we can get out of it. But interesting to look at and interesting to see if we can find any patterns and then how things may develop as the seasons go by. We'll bring you out of today, as always, with the very latest forecast here at weatherweb.net going towards the winter season. But that's all for today. Thanks for watching and bye for now.